The wait for justice has been long, and Wednesday marks the 15th anniversary of the Uphaar cinema fire, in which 59 people lost their lives, many of them women and children. Families of the victims are now demanding a tough law to prevent man-made tragedies, despite repeated assurances to ensure that those responsible are found guilty.
"17-year-old Unnati and Ujjwal, just 13, suffocated to death in Uphaar cinema in 1997. A cruel reminder, are we safe in public places in India? Is the government doing enough to discourage those who flout safety rules? 15 years later, Unnati and Ujjwal's parents are still fighting for justice, while the main culprits, the Ansals, are out on bail. For the families of the 59 who died, the fire was not an accident, but a man-made tragedy. They are now fighting for a legislation for better safety norms in public spaces.
We requested the government to bring in a special law to deal with such man-made mass tragedies, where, number one, the sentence should not be restricted to just 2 years. And anything like this happen, there should be a provision for punitive damages and a high compensation, which will send in a deterrent effect to the owners and occupiers of such buildings.
In 2009, the Uphaar Victims Association wrote to the then Law Minister Veerappa Moily to bring a stronger law. But though Veerappa Moily's office asked the Law Commission to prioritize the legislation, nothing has moved. After several reminders sent to Congress President Sonia Gandhi, all the victims have got from the new Law Minister Salman Khurshid is an acknowledgement.
See, now I think we have given enough time to the government. It's almost 3 years now. And now I think we'll take a decision in our executive committee meeting, and I think we should meet the cross-section of MPs. And these kind of law, I don't think any of the MPs or ministers will have any problem in bringing this such a law, because after all, we're asking for safety of people and going to the public places.
On their road to justice, Neelam and Shekhar are a little disillusioned, but determined to continue fighting, as long as it takes.
And it's a promise that we made to our children that we'll get them justice. And like Neelam said, that it's been 15 years and we never expected that it's going to take us 15 years to, and still we are fighting. It's still the case not reached a logical conclusion.
In New Delhi, Anshul Vora, NDTV.
Let's go across now to Sonal, who is there with many of the people who are part of the Association of Victims. In fact, Neelam Krishnamurthy, in fact, heads that association. Sonal, now the victims are not only demanding justice for themselves, they've also written several letters to Sonia Gandhi, even to Salman Khurshid, asking for the laws to be strengthened so that such tragedies don't occur in the future.
Absolutely, that's the agenda for today's meet, apart from the Shanti Path, which is being organized by the victims today. Gargi, I am in front of Uphaar cinema, where 15 years back that unfortunate tragedy unfolded, and today all the victims are gathering together to remember that unfortunate day, but also to bring the attention of the authorities to the sheer lack of public safety that has been in the system for so long. Let me introduce you to Neelam Krishnamurthy, who's also the president of the association here. It's been 15 years. The main accused in the case served 1 year in jail and is now currently out on bail again. What does it perhaps speak for it?
Well, first of all, let me correct you. It's not, they've not served 1 year. They've hardly served about 5 months. And Supreme Court has granted them bail. And the main appeal is pending in the Supreme Court. I think it speaks volume for our criminal justice system, where people who are responsible for killing 59 people are scot-free even after 15 years later, and it's the victims who are suffering. And I think we'll continue to suffer for the rest of the life. All that we are asking for is peace for our loved ones, and there can never be any peace without justice. It's very important for us. That's why every year we gather here to pray for the peace of our departed souls. We have been trying to even awaken the authorities, the government. We've been asking them one simple thing: we want a single law to deal with such man-made mass tragedies. So in future such tragedies can be averted, because we know what it means to lose your loved ones for no fault of yours. But the government doesn't seem to wake up. We've given a representation 3 years back to Srimati Sonia Gandhi, to the Law Minister and the President of the country, but they really don't seem to be doing anything about it. The main purpose why we want this law is, one, that we want to send in a strong message that it should have a deterrent effect. That's only possible when you give them heavy punitive damages, heavy compensation to the victims. Number two, we have to ensure that these kind of people get speedy justice. They don't have to go to the courts for years together like in our case. We've been going to the courts for the almost last 1.5 decade and we have not reached anywhere. What we wanted from the Supreme Court was a good judgment which would have set up a precedence. But unfortunately, the judgment of the Supreme Court has been very disappointing. They've fixed the value of human life at 10 lakh rupees, which sends it's a very good message for the corporate sector, where they say, all right, make your profits. All that you need to do is give a 10 lakh rupee if a person dies. Right. So we're quite disappointed with the system, with the government, with the courts, everywhere.
You know, Neelam, it's been 15 years. I understand it's an emotional moment for all of you guys to even be standing here right now. You know, your kids were 15 and 13 when they came here. How old would have been, they would have been now?
Well, my daughter at this moment would have been 32 and my son would have been 28. I've spent more time fighting to get justice for my children than I've even spent with my son. My son was only 13 and I've spent 15 years fighting to get justice for them. Is it fair? Does it happen anywhere else in the world?
Some very hard questions there being raised by the victims there, Gargi. So really a really heart-rending tragedy. But perhaps, you know, they're trying to say that enough is enough. Fate for 15 years has gone. It's better a time that the government acts on it now.
Right, Sonal, so no justice, no closure there really for those families. Thanks so much for joining us with that.
Do you have the NDTV Profit app? All the markets, all the news and your own homemade, ready-made portfolio available there for you.
We will right now answer what you should sell, what you should buy when markets are down.
Download at ndtvprofit.com/apps. Get the best app from the channel you trust.